Why do we sit here being silent, watching our leaders turn into tyrants? Have they forgotten which side they're fighting for? Checks and balances set aside and rule of laws, youths and ours, and Constitution openly ignored. Man, I'm not okay. Think we are being played. Is it time for right and left to join a greater cause? Man, I'm not okay. The rich claim to be victimized just to attack the marginalized. This 1% really worth more than all the sick and poor. Always preaching about fellowship while planning their dictatorship. Now we've seen how all of this plays out before. Man, I'm not okay. Think we are being played. Time for you and I to join our country's call. Man, I'm not okay. Ever wonder all the mystery? Why they whitewash our history? Keep dividing is their plan. All in all, such a scam. Algorithm very sly, only used to spread the lies. Politicians know well, hate is simple to upsell. Man, I'm not okay. Think we are being played. Time for you and I to join our country's call.
We are not okay. America is not okay, and we all know that. Former Congressman Joe Walsh, this is The Social Contract with Joe Walsh. Let's figure out how to get okay together. You know, I come into my studio today pissed off, right? I've told you before, when you do a daily show, a daily radio show, a daily TV show, a daily podcast, whatever kind of formats and platforms are out there now, I come in always having a show on my chest, something I got to get off of my chest. And I come into the studio and I'm either pissed off, I'm either elated, I could be bummed out, it could be whatever, but that show that I do this day will reflect the mood I'm in, and I'm pissed off right now. I got two things to get off of my chest right now. So this show this Tuesday morning is going to be a couple of rants, and I'll do my best, no I won't, to watch my language. Rant number one. This Epstein cover-up. Can we just get to the chase? Why are we here? Why are we still here? Congress, in defiance of law, refusing to follow the law, refusing to release the Epstein files. Why are we in this position this February, 10th, 2026, where the gazillion of Epstein files have still not been released and all the important people have been redacted? It's a cover-up. Let's be clear about this. What's happening with the Epstein files in this country, anyways, is an enormous cover-up. And I tell you what, this Tuesday, I'm so damn sick and tired of people, especially Trump supporters, people, conservatives, pointing their fingers at anybody but Donald Trump for this cover-up. It's Pam Bondi's fault. It's Kash Patel's fault. Steve Bannon, they're all to blame, but not the guy in charge, not the guy who is behind the cover-up. Don't want to blame Trump for this Epstein files cover-up, the largest pedophilia ring in American history, the world's rich and powerful and elite man. They were all part of it. They all abused young girls. They all raped young girls as part of Jeffrey Epstein's pedophilia ring. This went on for years. And here in America, those rich, those powerful, those connected, Republican and Democrat, they're being protected in an enormous cover-up. And there's one person to fucking blame for the cover-up in this country, and that's the guy in the White House. And I'm sick and tired of people blaming anybody else when it comes to this Epstein files scandal. What's going on? Nobody else is to blame. Everybody else is doing what Trump has told them to do. Can again, before I get into what Marjorie Taylor Greene said this morning, and Marjorie Taylor Greene is 1,000% right on what she said this morning. Before I get into that, just a reminder of the context here. Donald Trump, when he was running for president, he said, elect me and I'll release all the files, Trump said. His partner, J.D. Vance, said, elect us and we will release the Epstein files on day one. All of the Trump media cheerleaders, including Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, back when they were in the private sector, they all said the same thing, man. The Epstein files, this is the mother of all deep state scandals. Elect Donald Trump. Put Donald Trump in power, he's going to release all the files and expose all these rich and powerful people. Trump will expose the deep state. Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, all of Trump's media sycophants said the same fucking thing before Trump got elected. And then Trump gets elected, and in a nanosecond, Donald Trump comes out and says, nothing to see here. Let's move beyond the Epstein files. It's a hoax. Trump did what he always does, call something a hoax. Anything he doesn't like, it's a fucking hoax. Trump said hoax, nothing to see here. Let's move on. I mean, for a minute, think about that. And I know it's hard, right? Because Donald Trump lies as he breathes, so he lies about everything. So was he lying in the campaign when he said he'd release all the files, right? And now he's saying it's a hoax, right? Is he lying? But this is a big one. Because Trump and all of his right-wing media cheerleaders promised their voters and their audience the mother of all deep state scandals, the Epstein files. And then Trump picks Pam Bondi to be his attorney general. And Pam Bondi then has spent the past year doing everything she can to not allow the Epstein files out. Kash Patel, FBI, doing the same damn thing, doing everything they can to not let anybody see what's in the Epstein files. In fact, Congress passed a law, House and the Senate. Trump signed it in November, by law, mandating that the Justice Department release every single file, unredacted. And Pam Bondi and the Justice Department utterly ignored that law. They are in defiance of that law. And here we sit in February of 2026, right? And we ain't got nothing. The shit they've released barely a partial of the full number of files. They've redacted all the important, the rich, the powerful, and the elite. And oops, they've accidentally released the names of these victims. And by the way, that's at the bottom of this. Jeffrey Epstein ran the largest pedophilia ring in American history, right? This is the story of the victims, underage girls, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13-year-old girls who were raped and abused by powerful men and some powerful women. Powerful men, Democrats and Republicans, powerful men, business leaders, powerful men, world leaders. And oh, by the way, the guy in the White House right now, Donald Trump, was Jeffrey Epstein's best pal, By the way, the guy in the White House right now, Donald Trump, is mentioned in these files more than anybody else. But this is a cover-up in this country because we're a gazillion miles away from where we were in the campaign of 2024 when Trump and J.D. Vance and Kash Patel and Bongino and Hannity and all of them said, put Trump in the White House, man. We're going to finally expose everybody. We're going to release all these files. We're a gazillion miles away from that. This is an enormous cover-up. This is a humongous fucking scandal. And these poor victims. But I want to make one point about the Epstein files this morning. And now I get to Marjorie Taylor Greene. She ain't my cup of tea. She's full on MAGA. I'm pissed off at Marjorie Taylor Greene because she resigned from Congress. I think that's bullshit. When she got elected, she had a duty to serve her full 2 years. She was wrong to resign then. It's all bullshit. And yes, she's turned against Trump, but she's still full on MAGA. She's still a full on election denier. She's still full on a white Christian nationalist, all of that. But on the Epstein stuff, Marjorie Taylor Greene is 1,000% right. And she was on somebody's show this morning, and she said the following. We got that, Keith?
Jeffrey Epstein was supposedly killed. That's on an FBI form. That's not somebody calling in an anonymous tip or writing it on some deep, dark place in the internet. That's an actual FBI file stating what happened. And people are going to have to completely take in what they are seeing with their own eyes, what they're reading, and what they're being told. The reality is the Trump administration is not releasing the information. And I got yelled at by the president over this. This is why he called me a traitor. He called me a traitor because I would not take my name off the discharge petition, because I stood firmly and said, no, we're going to release the Epstein files. I'm standing with women who were raped as teenagers. I'm not standing with the government. I don't support the cover up of all of this stuff, whatever it may be. And the president got mad at me, and he told me, and I've said this multiple times, he told me his friends would get hurt. And that's what he told me. And then we're seeing a continued slow walk and cover up of a lot of this information. And I know that is why. I firmly believe that that's why it is being covered up. Look, Pam Bondi works directly for Donald Trump. She is not out there an independent attorney general. She can't just run out and do whatever she wants. She works at the pleasure and approval of the President of the United States. Everybody in the administration does. So does the FBI. They're under the very same pleasure and approval of the President of the United States. So when everyone's getting mad at Pam Bondi, or you can name anybody you want. The man at the top is Donald Trump. He's the president. And he's the one that was completely against releasing the files. When we started fighting to get them released, he's the one that called it a Democrat hoax. He's the one that, he invites everybody to the White House, but he will not invite these women that have defended him, by the way. They have defended him and said Donald Trump did nothing wrong. They have defended him, yet he doesn't bring them in the White House.
Thank you. It's Trump. Marjorie Taylor Greene is right. Quit blaming Pam Bondi or Kash Patel. They are tools. They do whatever Trump tells them to do, right? We've talked about this incessantly. We do not have an independent Justice Department. We do not have an independent Attorney General. Pam Bondi is Donald Trump's personal lawyer. Pam Bondi is not the Attorney General. Again, I've been saying this now for a year. I want to knock that through everybody's heads. Pam Bondi is not the Attorney General. She's Trump's personal lawyer. She does whatever Trump tells her to do. So if she's not releasing the files, that's because Trump has told her not to. This is all on Trump. This entire Epstein files cover-up scandal, protecting the rich and powerful in America and around the world, Republican and Democrat, this is all on Trump. Trump's responsible. And I get so pissed off when I hear Trump's media defenders or Trump's voters who tell me every day, and they get mad at Pam Bondi or Kash Patel for covering up. They will never get mad at Trump. Again, this is consistent with every issue. Trump voters and Trump's media sycophants are paid not to get mad at Trump, not to ever blame Trump. Trump's voters do the same damn thing. They will blame anybody under the sun but Trump. And I love putting this in front of their face. It ain't Pam Bondi. Marjorie Taylor Greene is right. Pam Bondi only does what Trump tells her to do. The reason the Epstein files are being covered up and have not been released, the reason that rich, powerful, elite names have not been released is because Donald Trump has ordered them not to be released. And I'm sorry, MAGA. I'm sorry, all you Trump voters. That's the fucking truth. And by the way, Trump voters, my brothers and sisters, Trump lied to you. He promised you he'd release all of this. He lied to you again. And I get it. Trump is a cult leader. Members of the cult, I used to be a part of that cult, never, ever, 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 ever want to blame their leader, their dear leader, for anything. What was it a couple days ago? I guess in some of the files, it came out that Steve Bannon was pals with Epstein, and Steve Bannon was still communicating with Epstein even as late as 2018 and 2019. And looky there, right? All conservatives were pissed off at Steve Bannon. Think about this. 2 days ago, conservatives got all pissed off at Steve Bannon because Steve Bannon is in the files and he's pals with Jeffrey Epstein. So think about this for a moment. MAGA and conservatives get pissed off at Bannon because Bannon's in the files and he's pals with Epstein. Donald Trump is all over the files, mentioned more in the files than anybody else. And Donald Trump was Jeffrey Epstein's best pal. But they'll never get, these conservative talkers and conservative media folk, they'll never get mad at Trump. Trump's all over the files. Trump is was best pals with Epstein, but they'll never get mad at Trump. I come from right-wing media. If you are in right-wing media and you blame Donald Trump directly for anything, you know what happens. You lose your job. You lose your show. You lose your platform. You lose your audience. You're gone. It happened to me because I came out against Trump 7.5 years ago. Boom! Lost everything. That's why they won't blame Trump. Fuck them. They're being paid to lie. These conservative talkers and conservative so-called thinkers and commentators and political talking heads, they get paid to lie to Trump voters. I'm looking directly at Trump's voters right now. You're going to get mad at Pam Bondi because the Epstein files haven't been released, right? The mother of all deep state scandals, you remember, you were promised. And so now Pam Bondi's sitting on them, or Kash Patel's sitting on them. They know shit and they don't want to release them. I mean, you're mad at Pam Bondi or Kash Patel? Seriously, Trump voter? You know as well as I know, Pam Bondi wouldn't do a fucking thing if Trump didn't want her to do it. She's doing exactly what Trump has told her to do. And I know, Trump voter, you know that. Deep down, I know you know that. He's the man in charge. The buck stops with him. These Epstein files, full disclosure, will never see the light of day as long as Trump is in the White House. Donald Trump is behind the cover-up, period. Donald Trump is protecting himself. Right, again, let's just be clear. Don't know because haven't seen him. For all we know, Trump is a pedophile, and there's evidence in these files that he did rape and abuse 13, 14-year-old girls. Don't know. But he's gone on record in that he's protecting his friends, other people who are in the files. Trump knew what Jeffrey Epstein was doing all of these years, the leader of this pedophilia ring. He has ordered a cover-up of the Epstein files. He and only he, Trump, is to blame for these files not seeing the light of day. He and only he is to blame for the names of the abusers and the rapists who all took part in Epstein's pedophilia ring. Donald Trump and Donald Trump alone and only is responsible for keeping those names private. And we talked Monday. No, not Monday. Geez, what day is today? Tuesday. Today's Tuesday. A couple of days ago, we made the point of how the UK and other countries, they're actually holding their rich and powerful and elite accountable. And people are resigning, and people are being banished, and people are being fired who've been found to be in Epstein files and who've been found to have been part of Epstein's pedophilia ring. That's the damnedest thing. That's happening in the UK. That's happening in other countries as we speak. They're holding their rich and powerful and elite accountable. But in America, we're not. In America, it's a cover-up. And the only reason for that is because Epstein's best fucking pal is in the White House right now. This just pisses me off. Blame Pam Bondi if it makes you feel good. Blame Kash Patel. Blame whoever if it makes you feel good, right? But shame on you for not having the balls, the courage, and the decency to be honest with yourself. Everybody who works for the government now and is part of this sordid scandal, they are all taking orders from the guy at the top. Donald Trump, and Donald Trump only, is the reason why these files have not been released. That's the truth. That's the truth. And by the way, easing into rant number 2, the other truth in this country right now, the other clear, obvious truth in this country is that ICE is not law enforcement. Can we, by now, and I've been saying this now for a long, long time, but by now, can we put that to the side? ICE is not law enforcement. ICE, they ain't cops. In fact, ICE is the very antithesis of law enforcement. What these heavily armed, masked thugs lawlessly roaming our streets are doing is the utter opposite of law enforcement. And there's a reason, by the way, and I talk to cops regularly. Most cops in this country detest what ICE is, detests what ICE is doing. I woke up in a good mood. Had a good cup of coffee, a good little healthy breakfast, took my dogs out for a walk. And then I came back, and the first thing I heard when I went onto my phone and began looking what's going on, I heard my former friend, Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson. Ron Johnson and I got elected the same year, he to the Senate, me to the House. We were congressional colleagues. We were actually really good friends back in the day. And then, right, it happened. The Tea Party became MAGA. He and I were both Tea Party guys. Ron Johnson became MAGA. I couldn't. Ron Johnson, and yeah, it'll always disappoint me. People ask me all the time, of all of my former Republican colleagues that who sold their soul and jumped on the MAGA train, who sold their soul to Trump and jumped on the MAGA train, of all of my former Republican colleagues who did that, and they almost all did that, I couldn't do that. I'm always asked, which ones disappoint you the most or surprise you the most? Disappoint me the most? It'll always be Utah Senator Mike Lee and Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson, if I'm being honest, and I can only be honest. Those two constitutionalists, Johnson in Wisconsin, Mike Lee in Utah, who became hardcore MAGA and Trumpies, it'll always profoundly sadden me. I mean, there are others on the list, but those two probably more than any. Ron Johnson was on a show this morning, I think on OAN, one of the right-wing TV shows, and he's pissed off that people are calling for ICE agents to be demasked, to take their masks off. Ron Johnson responded to that and said a few things that pissed me off. Let's listen.
Again, we see what has happened. They've been shot at. They've had their vehicles rammed. They have been doxxed. Why would they want to remove their masks? Because they want these officers exposed. They want them afraid. They don't want them to carry out their enforcement actions. They want judicial warrants, again, which would completely neuter ICE's ability to apprehend the 650,000 criminals that Biden led into this country.
Stop, Keith. Stop. I actually did when I first heard Johnson say that about judicial warrants. Can you believe it? They want judicial warrants. The American people are demanding that ICE have and use judicial warrants if they want to enter a home or a private business. You know, those damn pesky judicial warrants, that damn pesky Constitution. The Constitution. I did laugh a minute when I heard that. Start at the top, though. Johnson, like so many Republicans right now, they can't have their cake and eat it too. On the one hand, they're claiming that these ICE officers are doing the work of law enforcement. But on the other hand, they got to wear masks. Excuse me. You can't be both. Show me any local police officer out there who's masked. Go into any town, any community, in any state. Show me, send me pictures of cops, local police officers who wear masks on the job, who keep their faces hidden. Show that to me. You can't. Because that's not what law enforcement does. So Ron Johnson, my former congressional colleague, you cannot tell me in the same breath that ICE is law enforcement and they got to wear masks. Bullshit. If they were law enforcement, they wouldn't wear masks. Ask any cop in this country. Again, the vast majority of police officers in this country utterly detest what these ICE thugs are doing. And the whole mask thing, I say often that ICE, what these guys are, Ron Johnson, Senator Johnson, Mr. Tea Party, Mr. Constitution, Ron Johnson. What these federal agents are doing is the antithesis of law enforcement. They're wearing masks because they want to scare the fuck out of people and intimidate people. That's the utter opposite of how law enforcement operates. Local police officers, local cops, man, their realm of the coin is trust. That's they don't wear masks. They need to have the trust of their local communities. They work on and off of trust. ICE, it's all fear-based. They look like they're some special forces unit from somewhere around the planet, just parachuted into your community, heavily armed, wearing the big old, all the military garb and wearing masks because they want to scare the fuck out of people. That's the opposite of law enforcement. Cops, Ron Johnson, I hope you're still listening to me. Law enforcement is trained to de-escalate situations and encounters. They are rigorously trained to de-escalate. With ICE, it's the exact fucking opposite. ICE had these federal thugs have been given full immunity. They can do whatever they want, and they've been told by Stephen Miller, Kristi Noem, Donald Trump, man, ratchet, escalate. We want to cause violence. We want to cause unrest. We want to cause a scene. ICE agents are trained and told to escalate situations. The guy who shot, I mean, all you got to do is look at the ICE agent who shot Renee Good. Everything that thug did went against what law enforcement is trained to do. He fucking walked in front of a vehicle. Cops are trained not to do that. And then the other ICE agent charged at her vehicle, started fucking swearing at Renee Good, demanded she open the door, was trying to yank the driver's side door open, the utter opposite of what a cop would do. A cop would have walked up, a police officer, Ron Johnson, would have walked up to Renee Good's automobile and said, "Excuse me, ma'am, do you need some help? Is there something we can do? I really need you out of the street right here. Would that be okay?" That's what a law enforcement person, a cop, would have done. That ICE thug charged the car. "Hey, fuck you, open the fucking door," yelling at Renee Good, because it's all about escalating the situation. It's all about trying to cause violence. And then the thug who shot and killed Renee Good, he walks in front of the car, and then Renee Good's going past him, and he keeps shooting at a vehicle driving away. The utter opposite of what law enforcement is trained to do. These aren't cops. These masked thugs on the street, Ron Johnson, you can say you want them to keep their masks on, but don't you dare call them law enforcement. Again, respectfully, sir, my former colleague and friend, don't call them law enforcement. They ain't. They're the antithesis of law enforcement, which is why most cops in this country hate what they're doing, and most cops in this country want them off of our streets. And by the way, one more quick point, Ron Johnson, and then I'm done, Keith, I promise. Ron Johnson complaining about judicial warrants, that these poor, heavily armed, masked federal thugs lawlessly roaming our streets. By the way, that's another one, right? Cops are trained and taught, follow the law, follow the Constitution, respect the law, respect the Constitution. These ICE thugs are lawlessly roaming our streets, and they've been told by Stephen Miller, Kristi Noem, all the rest, Donald Trump, fucking ignore the Constitution, ignore the law, do whatever you can to abuse and brutalize immigrants and citizens, deny their due process, barge right into homes, barge right into private businesses. They're told to do this. By the way, I want to make one really quick point here, Keith. I promise I'm coming to a close. Because I hear people asking me why, Joe, like why has Trump and Stephen Miller and Kristi Noem told these ICE agents to escalate, to in essence create and incite violence? Because that's what Trump wants. Trump wants violence, chaos, and unrest on our streets this year because Trump believes it will help him fuck with the midterms, and it will help Republicans in the midterms if there's chaos, violence, and unrest on our streets. That's the whole point. Trump wanted Renee Good killed. Trump wanted Alex Preddy killed. Trump is dying for, his wet dream is that some stupid, bad person takes a shot at an ICE agent or takes a shot at a Border Patrol agent. That's what Trump is hoping and praying for, that somebody shoots and kills an ICE agent. That's what Trump's angling for, because that would then just set off the country, and that would set off Trump's supporters, and that would help Trump try to change the narrative. That's what Trump wants. I know it's a scary, horrible thing for me to say that Trump doesn't give a damn that Renee Good or Alex Preddy were killed. Trump wanted them killed. Trump wants an ICE agent taken out. I believe Trump does, because that's all part of his plan for utter unrest, chaos, and violence on our streets. That's why I believe that. That's the truth. And it's despicable. It's a despicable thing to say, but look at the guy in the White House. Final point, Ron Johnson. You're crying that ICE agents need a judicial warrant to knock on somebody's home and enter somebody's home or enter somebody's private business. Excuse me, Senator Johnson, my former constitutional colleague. Then you got a problem with the Constitution. Judicial warrants, that's in the Constitution. That's a constitutional protection. Your argument is with the Constitution if you think, as Johnson said, these ICE agents, man, they got to deal with judicial warrants. They shouldn't have to mess with judicial warrants. Excuse me, then what you're saying, Senator Johnson, is these ICE agents shouldn't have to mess with the fucking Constitution of the United States of America. Because that's what the Constitution demands. That document that you, Ron Johnson, and I took an oath to defend. The Constitution, Ron Johnson. You got a beef with the Constitution, Ron Johnson. Please tell me, Ron Johnson, you remember the Constitution. Thus, Keith endeth the two rants. Paxos.app, there it is. Check it out, Paxos.app. Go there, read all about our Know Your Rights tool that we're coming out with here real shortly to help immigrants and citizens in this country. If you are so duly inspired, please make a contribution. That's our GoFundMe page. Help us help immigrants and citizens in this country know how to lawfully fight back against ICE. My Substack, go there, check it out. Social Contract with Joe Walsh. .substack.com. Everything I do, say, think, write, feel is there on my Substack. Become part of this resistance community. Social Contract with Joe Walsh. .substack.com. Final thing, kind of out of breath, shoot me an email about anything that's on your mind. Always open door with me. The Social Contract with Joe Walsh @gmail.com. That's all one word. The Social Contract with Joe Walsh @gmail.com. God love you. Have a good Tuesday. Be brave.
Thank you for listening. Remember to listen, follow, and share The Social Contract with Joe Walsh on Apple, Spotify. Plus, don't forget to subscribe to The Social Contract on Substack. This has been The Social Contract with Joe Walsh.